The abbey stood on the edge of the village, a looming silhouette against the dying light. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the abbey's shadow stretched long and dark, casting an eerie pall over the village. The villagers would often glance nervously at the abbey, their eyes filled with a mix of fear and reverence. Centuries old, its stone walls whispered forgotten prayers. Each stone held the weight of ages, stained with time and sorrow. The walls, weathered by countless storms and the passage of time, seemed to breathe with a life of their own. Moss and ivy clung to the ancient stones, adding to the sense of timelessness and melancholy that enveloped the abbey. The villagers spoke of a monk, his spirit tethered to the abbey, forever mourning a lost love. His story was one of tragedy and unfulfilled promises, a tale that had been passed down through generations. They said he had once been a man of great faith, but his heart had been broken, and in his despair, he had bound himself to the abbey for all eternity. They said he whispered to those who strayed too close, weaving tales of despair, whispers that chilled the soul, promising solace in oblivion. The villagers believed that his whispers were a warning, a plea for others to avoid the same fate. Some claimed to have heard his voice in the dead of night, a soft, mournful sound that carried on the wind. Many dismissed it as folklore, a ghost story to keep children from the abbey's shadow. Yet there were those who believed, who felt the weight of the abbey's history and the sorrow of the monk's tale. They would leave offerings at the edge of the abbey grounds, small tokens of respect and remembrance, hoping to appease the restless spirit and keep the village safe from his sorrowful whispers. But those who lived within the abbey's shadow knew better. They had heard the whispers in the dead of night, felt the icy breath on their necks. They spoke in hushed tones, faces pale with a fear that ran deeper than any earthly threat. The whispers were a creeping dread, a slow poison that seeped into your dreams. They spoke of a love lost, a betrayal that echoed through time. They promised release, an end to the pain, a leap into the abyss. Elias, a young scholar, arrived at the village drawn by the abbey's dark legend. He sought knowledge, hungry to unravel the mysteries held within the abbey's heart. He dismissed the villagers' warnings, their fearful glances, attributing them to superstition. He believed in logic, in reason, scoffing at the idea of restless spirits. He would find truth in the abbey's silence, in the crumbling texts that lined its library walls. Little did he know, the abbey held secrets that reason could not explain. His days were spent poring over ancient texts, deciphering faded ink and brittle parchment. He searched for any mention of the monk, his lost love, the whispers that plagued the night. As days bled into weeks, he felt a presence growing around him. He would catch glimpses of movement in the periphery, a fleeting shadow that vanished as quickly as it appeared. The air grew heavy, thick with a chilling miasma that clung to him like a shroud. One night, as Elias pored over a particularly old manuscript, he heard it. The library was cloaked in an almost tangible silence, broken only by the occasional flicker of the candlelight, casting dancing shadows on the walls. A whisper, soft as the rustle of dead leaves, yet clear as a bell, in the silence of the library. It was as if the very air had come alive, carrying a message meant only for him. It spoke his name, a breath of ice that sent shivers down his spine. The whisper seemed to linger, echoing in the recesses of his mind, refusing to be dismissed as a mere figment of his imagination. His heart pounded against his ribs as he spun around, searching for the source of the voice. The sound of his own heartbeat was deafening, a stark contrast to the eerie quiet that enveloped the room. The library was empty, the shadows still and silent. Every corner seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something to happen. The ancient books and manuscripts stood as silent witnesses to his growing unease. He tried to convince himself it was his imagination, the weight of the legend playing tricks on his mind. Stories of the haunted abbey had always been part of the lore, but he'd never given them much credence until now. But deep down, a seed of unease had been planted. The whisper had felt too real, too personal. It was as if the abbey itself had come alive, reaching out to him through the veil of time. The feeling of being watched, of not being alone, grew stronger with each passing moment. Elias knew that this night would be etched in his memory forever, a turning point in his understanding of the ancient legends that surrounded the abbey. The whispers grew stronger with each passing night, weaving their way into his thoughts, his dreams. They spoke of Alara, the monk's lost love, of her beauty, her betrayal. They painted vivid images in his mind of the monk's pain, his despair, his longing for a release. They spoke of the peace that awaited him, the oblivion that would silence the whispers forever. He found himself drawn to the Abbey Tower, the highest point for miles. The whispers beckoned him, promising solace in the embrace of the abyss. He stood at the edge, the wind whipping his hair, the village lights twinkling far below. He could feel the pull of the void, the seductive whisper of oblivion. For a moment, he closed his eyes, embracing the darkness, the promise of peace. But then a single image flashed through his mind. His sister, her face filled with worry, her voice echoing his name. The image shattered the whisper's hold, pulling him back from the precipice. Elias stumbled back from the edge, his heart pounding in his chest. He had come so close, so very close to succumbing to the whisper's seductive pull. As he caught his breath, he heard it again. The whisper, but this time it wasn't his name. It was a name uttered with infinite sadness, a name carried away on the wind. Alara. The monk's lament echoed through the ages, a chilling reminder of the whisper's power. Elias left the abbey at dawn, his face etched with the encounter. He carried the weight of the whispers, the knowledge of their seductive danger. Each step he took away from the ancient walls felt heavier, as if the abbey itself was reluctant to let him go. The morning sun cast long shadows, but none as long as the one that now loomed over Elias's heart. He knew that the whispers would follow him, a haunting melody that would never truly fade. He would remember Alara's name, the monk's tragic tale, a cautionary echo in the wind. The abbey remained, a silent sentinel against the ever-changing sky. The fog that enveloped the landscape seemed to hold secrets of its own, secrets that intertwined with the abbey's dark history. The sky above shifted, mirroring the turmoil within Elias. He couldn't shake the feeling that the abbey was alive, watching, waiting for the next soul to ensnare. The whispers lingered within its ancient stones, waiting for the next soul to stumble upon their seductive embrace. They were not just sounds, but memories, fragments of lives long gone, yet still yearning to be heard. Each whisper carried a story, a plea, a warning. The stones themselves seemed to pulse with a life of their own, a silent chorus of sorrow and longing. The abbey stood as a testament to the enduring power of grief, a chilling reminder that some wounds time cannot heal. Its ruins were a monument to the pain and loss that had seeped into its very foundation. The silhouette of the abbey against the eerie backdrop was a stark contrast to the beauty of the dawn, a visual representation of the darkness that lay within. Elias knew that the abbey's story was far from over, and that its silent vigil would continue, waiting for the next chapter to unfold.